Welcome to ZenLeader, where we empower women to tap into their confidence, discover their voice, and find calm in the chaos. Join your host, Dr. Jody Blinko, founder of ZenLeader, motivational speaker, self-help coach, and author of Inner Alchemy, as we have unfiltered and unscripted conversations with inspiring women from around the globe. Here's your host, Dr. Jody Blinko.
Welcome. I am so excited for you all to be part of this conversation today. We have Eleanor Duelley with us. Eleanor, I came across, I'm going to let her tell you all about what she does, but I want to share how I came across her and her work and how it's going to blow your mind by the time that we're done today. And all of you are going to be wanting to talk to Eleanor by the time that we're done too. I guarantee it. So I myself had been just for years struggling with a lot of the things that I'm sure all of you women struggle with, whether it be your weight or hormonal changes, sleep, nutrition, all the above, and going to the doctor and not getting any answers. And I wanted to just keep understanding more and more and digging deeper. And I came across Eleanor, and I'll save the details of my story for as we start talking. But Eleanor, would you be able to just give the folks a high level understanding of what you do and why you do it?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I just love sharing on these platforms where women are seeking a deeper understanding of their bodies and their life and the things that they can do to help themselves. So I am a functional and naturopathic, holistic hormone specialist. That's a lot of words, but really, I help women understand that their body can truly rebalance with support that comes from nature and comes from the body's own healing. And so out of that, I grew a practice where I can help women understand what their blood work is actually saying, not the, oh, it looks fine, or come back when you're sicker and I'll give you a medication, but truly the patterns in the blood work, which we're never told, we're never educated on. And so really just giving women their power back and understanding like, okay, this might be imbalanced in my body, but I have an understanding of what that means and how I can get it back to the natural balance of life and the rhythm of life. And when that happens, women become so much more in tune with their bodies. And if they're having symptoms or troubles, or, I mean, magnify it, 100 times, and anxieties and stress and just surviving in the world that we live in, it becomes so much easier when they're not burdened by the constant barrage of medication and potentials for surgeries and things where nobody's looked at this natural healing space.
So I've got 5 questions firing off at once. I'm going to stick with one and we're going to go down that path. But so for women who are listening to this and you talk about symptoms, you use the word symptoms, and I shared a little bit about, a minute ago about some of the struggles that I was having. When women come to you, what are common things that you hear they've been struggling with? By the time they get to you, what things are they sharing with you?
Generally, when they get to me, they've either pretty much tried all the diets, all the conventional tips and tricks that I call them, like the TikTok, supplement sellers and things like that. They want to do things naturally, but their conventional doctor really hasn't given them any support, or, nothing against conventional doctors, but they're just not trained. They're not even given nutrition classes in high level medicine. They're just taught about the systems of the body and how, that's another story. But what I do, most women are coming, they're not sleeping well, which causes them to be tired all the time, which causes them to not want to eat well, which causes them to not want to work out. So it's kind of a cascade effect, really. And then you pile on top of that, whether it's difficult periods, inconsistent periods, and this can this can start in the teenage years. And, you know, women in their 20s tend to really not notice or pay much attention because it's not that important. They can live with it. They can just get through
you can
it.
Survive through it. You can figure out.
Yeah, the symptoms simply are not that bad enough yet. Yeah. Or they're on birth control, which they, you know, is every woman's choice, but it truly covers up any symptoms that need to be addressed. And they really just get magnified when women reach a point, 30s, at 40s, 50s, beyond, when they're looking beyond the birth control pill or beyond IUDs and really kind of preparing their bodies for a transition that is coming. So what I see is everything ranging from migraines to terrible periods to anxiety. Everybody pretty much has anxiety these days, and it's really complicated by the things that are internally happening in the body physically, as well as past trauma, you know, realizing who you are and what you're about. Yeah. And, you know, the things in your past don't define you. We kind of come out of this shell, I believe, in our 40s. For those of you that aren't there yet, it's coming. And for those of you that are there, know what I'm talking about. But it truly just is an awakening, where the things that we're told are supposed to work just don't work. They don't connect with who we are anymore.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw a meme on, I'm sure it was Instagram, but it was like this army of folks like marching, and it was like me in my 40s going to tell myself in my 30s what you're up against, or like what's around the corner. And it's so true. And I think for me, looking back now, it was 35 really started was the downhill, but I didn't really realize what was happening or what was going on. And it was just like, well, you got to work out harder. You have to work out more. And then the weight got more and more and more, and it wasn't going anywhere. And the headaches and the sleep. And it really is this moment of like, what is happening and what am I going to do? Because as you said, the things that used to work or help or provide survival, which I think is a fantastic word, don't work anymore. And it just gets worse.
We're simply just not given the tools in our culture, society, whatever you call it. From, you know, your teenage years when you got your period, did anybody ever even sit down and explain, other than the bleeding and your ability to become pregnant? Those were the only two things I was told.
Yeah.
And up until I have 3 kids now, up and through my pregnancies and carrying these babies. And like, I still didn't really understand what my body was going through, nor how to support it. Like, that was a distant, like way in the distance. And, and I think as women get older and they start realizing like, oh my gosh, this actually really hurts, or this really drags me down. I'm trying to be productive. I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm a corporate woman, or I'm really bogged down by these physical things that I could really just push through before. And now, like, I would be so much better off if I could mute these, if I could just ignore them. And really getting to the root is the most powerful thing to do, because then there's nothing else. There's no side effects. There's no getting, you know, things complicating and growing and compounding on each other.
Yeah. So if I'm listening to this right now and I'm thinking, I'm experiencing this, you know, the trouble sleeping and just a whole host of things, and I'm intrigued by you and your work, what is the starting point of a woman reaching out to you, or like more the process? Because I guess that's where people struggle, is the fear of the unknown, or what's this going to be like, and how's she going to be different than my primary care that I've seen for a million years that is telling me the same thing. Like, walk us through some of that.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I have relationships with the people that I work with because I want to understand them. So I'm not looking at a clipboard going, okay, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And I've to earn all of the credentials that I have, I've had to sit in those offices and do those things. So there's nothing against that process. But when I was doing those things, I realized that I need to have relationship with my clients, with these women, so that they know that I am a trusted, experienced advisor, and I have their best interest in mind. So I want to be somebody that if you have something to celebrate that has to do with the work that we're doing, you feel comfortable enough to send me a message, and vice versa. If things are going, in a direction that we did not expect, that's fine. Like, we have to work together, and it's not more this teacher student. It's more of a trusted mentor and advisor that's walking with you. So that's how I begin. I want to know your health history. I have forms that I've cultivated over the years to ask the exact questions that I need answers to, so that I can start thinking of what you've been through. And I empathize. I'm an empath by heart. So a lot of times I really, am there with you and going, these are the steps that we're going to get to pull you up to the next level of healing. This isn't a quick fix of like, oh, just take these, 3 supplements, a substitution for medication, right? We're not doing that. We're understanding why the processes in your body are misaligned right now. So I ask a series of questions. I have a series of forms. It's nothing tremendous. I mean, you've been through it. And then what I really want to see is your blood work. So nothing super duper fancy. If you have recent blood work panel, you went to your doctor, I'm happy to look at it. But for the most part, people that bring me blood work that they've already got done, it's not complete. It's missing some things that I deem very important in understanding how your hormones are working, how your detox systems are working. And so I can order you a blood panel. You go to your local LabCorp. It's nothing, you don't have to be local. You don't have to come into my office. I have telehealth. So you just go to a LabCorp. And then I walk through your blood work. I don't just tell you all of the levels look good or your cholesterol's high or this. I actually take your blood work and I put it into a color-coded spreadsheet. And I record a video and I walk through what each of the numbers mean and what we want to see, what we're seeing, and then what we have to work on, so that you have ownership over what is happening in your body and you can speak to it. You can intelligently talk about it, whether it's to your doctor or to your spouse or to your friends, and you can say, look, this is what is actually in my blood work and this is what it actually means. Because we get told a lot of stuff throughout, through the TikToks and I have people coming in here telling me all kinds of stuff they already know. And I say, okay, well, let's just dial it back and go with the basic understanding of blood sugar, of nutrition, of thyroid health, of cholesterol, and dispel if there's any myths that might not actually be true, or there's always a thread of truth in these sort of these scare tactics and these rumors and these. I'm on, the people will bring in their big bag of supplements and I'm like, it's not that these are bad or that they're not effective, but let's streamline all of the stuff, all of the noise, and get down to business of what are the 1 or 2 things that you need to focus on right now. Yeah. And then I build you up from there. In a month or 2, most people are feeling so much dramatically better because we've cleaned up just some basics, whether it's constipation. I have clients that have had diarrhea for decades and they've just never recovered. They just never got to a point of balance. And so there's a lot of internal healing that we have to, I view it as a garden. Like, we have to tend to the garden. We remove the weeds, but then we have to nourish the soil so the good stuff can grow back. Yeah. So I walk you through this journey in a very effective way. I don't believe in, hours and hours of wasted time. And, it's let's get down to business and let's get you feeling better.
I will say, I want to comment on 2 things that you shared about your process, because as you said, I've been through it, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with you, because you, in a very short time, have opened my eyes and have helped me to start to transform symptoms that I've have been getting worse and worse and worse for years, that in a matter of almost a month, as you said, a month to month, it's literally been life-changing already. And so I want to comment on the video that you put together and the color-coded spreadsheet and the assessments. The assessment process, as you said, it's nothing tremendous, but what it is very detailed. And what it started to do for me was it started to take me down my own reflective journey of like, well, I've never really thought about how often does this even happen? Or how often does it happen? And how that might be connected to this or this or this. And then that combined with the blood work, the video, like there's just so much care. Like genuinely, as you said, you started off by saying, I build this relationship with my patients. I want them to feel trusted, and like it truly is a relationship. And those aren't just words. Like you really create that experience of, between the video, the spreadsheet, the assessment. But the other thing that I want to comment on that I noticed along the way is at no point did I feel judged by you in any capacity of like, oh, you took this medication or you did this, or it felt and continues to feel like a very safe, empathetic space of, okay, well, that's just a piece of our puzzle that we're working with. That's a piece of your story. That's a piece of your journey. And I don't know that, I'm sure we've all sat in doctors' offices before, and it's not a knock or a judgment on anyone else, but I never felt that way in a traditional doctor's office. I never felt like anyone gave a shit about what was really going on.
Yeah.
But I want to share that because I think that's important for any human being, especially women, to feel like, one, it is a safe space. They're not going to be judged. And that you talked earlier about really getting to the root of what's going on. Yeah. I appreciate that so much about your process, in that let's understand every person is different. Every person's journey and experience is different. So we're going to take all these pieces of the puzzle, dump them out of the box, start to look at them, and then work together to figure out what is the next step for you that makes the most sense. And do you feel comfortable with that step? And here's where we go from here. And so I just have to share that because that's super powerful.
Yeah. And thank you so much for saying that, because truly that is what I built this practice on. Yes, you have certifications and you have check marks and you have things like that. But the reason I sat in a doctor's office and I was gaslit and I was shoved medications, and it like a light bulb went off, tears were streaming down my face. And I was like, is this truly it?
Yeah.
And doctor was, they're back to you and they're typing and they're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, excuse me. I said, I really want to know what is going on, why I'm feeling this way. And I don't want to have to go home and Google it, because I'm here right now. I've invested in this appointment, my time, my money, my attention, my respect. And I just really got sort of dumped, got brushed off, and I stood in the waiting room and I'm thinking, I go, oh, this is not good enough for me. This is not good enough for my daughter. This is not good enough care for women. Mm-hmm. And I don't judge what anybody does. I want everybody to have a choice to do whatever they want. And I want to help educate them to go, maybe you didn't know X, Y, and Z about your choice, but it's your choice. You get it. I get it. Everybody gets it. I want you to know, because a lot of times I explain things that people are doing and they're like, I had no idea that's what was going on. Now I have a different choice to make, or a different perspective. And that is truly my job. That is what I see my job is, so that you, like I said, you can take ownership over this decision in knowing everything. When we're given, medications, I mean, I know the pharmacist is supposed to read, the panel. That never happens. And even if it does, you're like, yeah, I don't care. Give me the thing that's going to fix the symptom. And Truly, we need things like that in our life for
Mm-hmm.
certain things. As long as you understand what it is, and if you don't, I'm going to help you figure it out. Again, one trusted source, so that we're not Googling and getting 10 different answers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's truly why I do this work.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that part of your story too, because I think it's so important for people to hear and know why you do the
Yeah.
work, but also, that you sat there just like I'm sure every person slash woman listening to this could relate to sitting in a doctor's office, getting a prescription handed over. And again, no judgment on prescriptions. They serve a purpose, but it's more of that feeling of, the word that's coming to mind is hopelessness or frustration, or just like you said, sitting there going, is this it? Like really, I'm leaving here with no more answers than what I came in with. And you really don't even seem that confident about what you're telling me is going on, or, well, we'll try this and see if it works. And if it doesn't, come back in 3 weeks or a month or whatever.
Yeah. And doctors are just trained differently in this country and in this time of our lives. And that's okay. Like I said, it's totally, there's no knocking it. But I know women deserve better than what they're getting or what I was getting in that particular instance. So with that as my sort of fuel, I was just like, okay, I'm going to, I open up practice and I'm sitting and I'm like, okay, these women are going to come to me and they're going to find me because I am here to help them. And I don't just, drop them off when I'm done. I have people that come back a year later, 2 years later, they want updated blood work. They want to understand. I do hormone testing. I do gut testing. A lot of women will say, I have, messed up, my gut's messed up. And, and I'm like, okay, well, let's actually break that down and see if it's actually true, what it means. And let me show you how we can repair and rebuild. Because if we clean up that foundation, as you transition through each of the decades, something different is going to happen to you and you're going to be ready for it.
Mm-hmm. You touched on this earlier. You talked about like the healing portion, and you just mentioned the repairing. Women, people in general, but women have, they're raising children, they're they're doing a lot, right? And anytime anyone is doing a lot, that can have an impact on the body, the nervous system, the mind, like all just the stuff. There is an impact to that, just, constantly going and going and going. And as you said, at certain times in our life, we're able to push past, wow, I'm really tired today, or I've been really tired for weeks, but I'm just going to keep going. And then eventually, the voice gets louder and louder and louder, or your body says, okay, you're not going to listen. We're going to make you listen. Where I'm going with this whole conversation is a question around, can you speak to maybe some of the themes or patterns or symptoms that you see women coming to you with related to burnout or nervous system, or just some of that stuff that maybe isn't as tangible as, I have a headache every single day, or I'm having trouble sleeping, like some of that stuff that maybe we ignore or brush under the rug, or doesn't get as much of the highlight as the physical symptoms.
Yeah. And it's a great overlap because the work that I do is not only, coaching and mentoring, kind of like we're talking now, it's really getting what is it like when you wake up? Is your house crazy? Do you have kids everywhere? Or are you an empty nester? Or are you, a corporate single person? So getting into the person's life and going, okay, I'm going to walk through this with you and make suggestions that actually make sense for you. Mm-hmm. But talking about sort of the stress and anxiety culture that we're in, depression is huge, burnout is huge. And a lot of people don't think about it this way, that in the world we live in, we're inundated with toxicity, right? We all kind of know this. We know organic food is cleaner and better. Do we buy it all the time? We try. Right? We try to do good things. We try to, a lot of people don't know that they're cosmetics and that they're the toxins in their cleaning fluids, and, using bleach in the shower, and just little things that have become everyday in our culture. And candles, holiday season candles. I'm like, oh my gosh, please get rid of them. If you don't learn anything from this podcast, please. But my point is, the toxins that are involved in our day-to-day life get absorbed into our body. And so when we talk about stress and we talk about cortisol, which is the stress hormone, everybody kind of, my cortisol's high. What does that mean? Well, the adrenals are two little glands in your body that make cortisol. Okay. And when I talk about stress, the stress response is making cortisol. So I think of cortisol as like the coping hormone. Well, that's great, because cortisol is going to help me cope.
Yeah.
But the thing that people don't realize is, when I talk about stress, I'm talking about more than busy schedules and annoying people. Okay. So we think of stress as okay, traffic, okay, finances. And of course, those are stressors and huge for people, and not brushing those under the rug whatsoever. However, there is additional mountains of stress in our body that come from toxicity. And then we combine that with, childhood patterns, PTSD, trauma, things that are recurring in our mind. Those also create a cortisol response. So if you can pile all of those things, right, and think about the need that needs to be met, how much cortisol do you need to make to get through a day of all of those things, right? Yeah. And so for me, I look at, okay, are there some areas that we can do better, utilizing your time, utilizing your efforts? Obviously, I'm not a financial planner or anything like that, but, are we meeting your nutrition need? Because your nutrition, if you don't get enough, it causes a cortisol response. So I look at, how can we reduce your cortisol response, even if we change nothing about your schedule, but we alleviated gut infections, mold exposure, toxins that you're breathing in every day, water, not drinking the cleanest water. Looking at those things, because those are just as important and causing just as much anxiety and stress and cortisol response. And most people don't even know that that's happening. Like, they don't realize that that's part of it. Yeah. So when I help women start actually detoxing, using their liver and using their kidneys in an effective, optimal way, it's like a light bulb goes off. And I think your personal experience, although I haven't heard it all yet, you just start feeling almost human again. You just start connecting, because you're getting out so much stuff that is holding you back, whether it's a mental stress, whether it's a commute, my commute sucks, whatever. Like, we're chipping away at the things that are draining you.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't realize how bad you feel. I mean, you do, but you don't realize the depth of it until you don't feel that anymore, or it starts to chip away at it. You go, oh my gosh, I'm not yawning at 10 a.m. anymore, after I've had a full night's sleep, or, a whole host of other things. But okay. So the big question is, and you shared this a little bit earlier. So you are in Texas. So if someone is in Ohio, Massachusetts, California, Washington, wherever listening to this, they can work with you. They can work with you very easily.
Yes. I am. I live in Texas, outside of Dallas, but I do have a telehealth platform. There are a couple states that are a little prickly around some of the testing, but other than that, I can definitely, and I can help people without testing. People, love their blood work because they can like hold on to it.
It's very tangible.
Yes. Yeah. And I love offering it, because it gives me a window into the person more than any other intake form. So it is a nice piece of the puzzle. But yeah, I've helped people all over the world, really, with the things that I'm talking about, and that like the tent poles of like empathy and really this naturopathic look at the body, how the body wants to heal itself. That's all it does all day long, 24/7. It wants to get there. And I'm here to highlight the areas that we're not helping it to do that, so that we can remove them and allow the body to do it. And I believe that that's for every living creature could use that kind of support.
And your website?
Yes, it's my name, eleanorduelley.com. So I'm sure it'll be written, but it's EleanorDuelley.
Perfect. Yeah. So you can see that down below. Go find Eleanor. She will change your life. I am a testament to that journey, and I'm just in the very beginning stages. So as we wrap up here, Eleanor, this might be a tough one, but words of wisdom, like if you could package any words of wisdom for folks who are listening to this, what would be the thing that you would say?
I love this because we're taught to not trust our gut and to do things that like, oh, I've been told I have to do this, so I'm going to do it. It doesn't feel right. I have some flags going off, but I'm going to do it anyway. And so I like to kind of mix that all up and go, if you know something is not right, not balanced, doesn't sit well with you, there's a reason that you feel that way. And trust your gut. I help women not only recover their gut, but learn to trust their bodies, because you're the one experiencing that and nobody can tell you what you're experiencing. People try, but trust yourself. If this is resonating with you at all, then there's a reason why you're listening to this, however this fell into your ears, but reach out. I'd love to have a conversation and just really make that impact for you as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the conversation today, for sharing your words of wisdom in every way, not just the trust your gut, but everything that you've shared with us over the last 30 minutes or so. So thank you very much. And please go check out Eleanor's website. You also have a podcast that people can, your own podcast?
I do. It's the Holistic Hormone Podcast, and you can find it on Spotify and Apple and wherever you listen to podcasts.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today to hear Eleanor's words. I can't stress enough, if you are struggling with anything that we talked about today, at least have a conversation with her. You will not be disappointed, and I have no doubt that you will have guidance that will be valuable to you along your journey. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all again soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you're ready to begin your personal ZenLeader journey, head over to ZenLeader.org and sign up for our ZenLeader Masterclass course, Climbing the Ladder and Staying Calm in the Chaos. ZenLeader also offers customizable group coaching programs and workshops to fit organizations and industries of any size. Whether you're looking to tap into your confidence, discover your voice, or find tranquility amidst the chaos, ZenLeader is here to support you every step of the way.